Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, awesome. Well, of course, we're here to talk about the brand new album from Aenimus, Dreamcatcher, which is going to be coming out February 22nd through Nuclear Blast. As much as I do love the debut album, I mean, I love the fact that you guys are going to be coming back here in 2019 and becoming stronger than ever with this album. I mean, I love it from start to finish. I love the progression that the band has gone through between albums, and it's great to see where you guys are at right now.
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite a change from Transcend Reality to Dreamcatcher. I mean, obviously, we're still a heavy band in many ways, but yeah, I feel like one of our goals for Dreamcatcher was to just offer more, and yeah, I think we did it.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, what was the songwriting process like for this album?
It was much different than Transcend, I'll tell you that. So Transcend Reality we were all together. We actually, almost all of us lived together, so we were always in the same rooms writing. Whereas Dreamcatcher, we're all scattered around the United States, so the writing process was sending files back and forth, like sending, one of us would write a section of a song or even a full song, and we'd send it out to everyone and see what they think, and then, we would tab it out, and then we'd send it over to Sean, and he'd change stuff up, he'd send it back, and so it was just a bunch of back and forth until we were all really happy with the outcome of the songs, which was really great because one thing that it allowed was us getting our full ideas out there before getting any input from anyone else. Whereas when we were writing Transcend, we're all in the same room. We get like halfway through writing like a riff out, and then one of us would be like, I don't like the direction of this, which, I think Transcend turned out fantastic, but it could have prohibited, where that person was going. So it was really cool. It was interesting. It was difficult, a big learning experience, but I think it was for the best. So
yeah, and it's great to see that the band was able to do that this time around. I mean, between both albums, like being able to write in a different way, and I imagine, with the advancement in technology and being able to transfer ideas like that, I imagine that the creativity in songwriting has got to be like growing exponentially with that. I mean, you're able to flesh out so many more ideas and really try them out before sending them out.
Yeah, no, it really did. And one thing that was really cool was that I'm all about writing all together still. Like, I think that's great. But one thing that was really good about writing individually was I feel like when it started flowing, man, it was flowing fast. Like, everyone's creativity was just like pouring out, so it's like we started writing, the writing process started a little slow. We got like 3 songs in, and then it would kind of slow down a little bit. We did like a tour, but then when we came back, it was just like, man, like the album was done, like so quick, which I think had to do with people being able to just get in the moment, and when they were feeling it, they were just free to just do it, like no interruptions. So it was cool.
Oh, very much so. So now with that in mind, I mean, obviously with a few years in between albums, I mean, what's it like to finally be having this album coming out in 2019?
It's insane. I mean, it's awesome. There was a point in 2015 where I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, like 100% serious. I was like, man, because Sean and I were the only ones on Transcend Reality that were still in the band, and I was just like, dude, like, we don't have a band together. Like, everyone's joined bigger bands. It's just you and I. What are we going to do, And so the fact that, flash forward to now, like, when the album was just done, like, when we finished writing it, that was a huge release. Like, big weight lifted off my shoulders, like, oh my God, we've finished this record, we've done it. And then now that it's coming out on Nuclear Blast, like, wow. I couldn't be happier, to be honest. So, yeah. And it's been done for a while too, so we've had to really learn patience. But it's coming out. It's sweet.
Yeah, as a fellow musician, definitely knowing the trials and tribulations of, band members leaving, trying to replace those band members, other things that just go into the life of a musician. It's like, it's hard enough to get that first album out there, and then once you finally start getting that name out there and more trials and tribulations happen, you do kind of wonder what's going to happen with the second album sometimes. And, that's why it's so great to see that, everything did go the direction that it was supposed to go in, even if it did take a little bit. I mean, I'm glad to see that. I mean, obviously from listening to the album from start to finish, I mean, it sounds like you guys are back stronger than ever, really forging that sound that you guys had on the first album, but being able to progress it more in different styles and, just like overall become a tighter band. And it's so great to hear that. Yeah,
no, yeah, exactly. It's, I think things happened the way they were meant to. As nerve-wracking as it was in the time and kind of scary, we had some big shoes to fill. But Cody, Alex, and Jordan, and Sean too. I mean, he was on Transcend, but he was on, I think, only about 3 songs. So him stepping in, I couldn't be happier with my bandmates, not only as musicians and writers, but just as people. Like on a touring aspect, the dynamic is awesome, and I'm super happy. And I feel like we are coming back really strong with this new record, and we have a really strong team behind us now too, which I am so thankful for, because in the past I've done, as far as business goes, I've done it all, and so having Nuclear Blast working with us now and Continental Concerts, as booking our US tours, like I'm so thankful. So.
And speaking of that, I mean, you guys are coming back so very strong in 2019, especially in that live setting. I mean, being able to open the show for Hypocrisy and Fleshgod Apocalypse, I mean, that's just going to be an amazing bill from start to finish.
Oh, yeah. When they brought that to us, they were like, hey, do you guys want to do this tour? And it was just like, yeah. I'm really, really excited about that. It's going to be the biggest tour we've done to date. We've gone out with some great bands, like Rings of Saturn and I Declare War, but Fleshgod and Hypocrisy is just, I don't know, it's like they're older and they're just so legendary, and I can't wait. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and it makes me excited from the fan perspective as well, because, I mean, I love all 3 bands, and all 3 bands have their own unique, heavy styles, so, it's just, everyone gets to be able to show off their different sides on this tour, and be able to just have a great creative night like that, from both the musicians on stage and those in the crowd. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a diverse lineup, I feel like each band has something different to offer out there, and I really hope that all the fans are just there and can listen and appreciate what everyone has to offer. We're gonna stick out in some ways, and I hope that people will actually enjoy it, and I think they will, and it's cool.
Oh, definitely. And I see the show is coming to my neck of the woods here in Minnesota, so I'll definitely be coming out early to make sure to see all 3 bands, because again, it's just like, this is such an amazing bill, and I hope people will go out to see it. I mean, especially coming out early to see you guys, because hearing the songs that I have so far on Dreamcatcher, I mean, I can't wait to be able to experience what those songs sound like in a live setting.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's cool. We've played a couple of the tracks on our tour with Pathology back in August, and they transition live really well. It's really cool watching some videos, and just I'm super proud of the work we've done, and I really hope people will come out too and just experience it, because that's what I feel like we're going for, is to give people an experience, and we're not just there to for you to be able to see some random band up there. Like, we really want it to be a full-on experience, and people to be able to feel emotionally what we're trying to put out there. So
Yeah, and I'm already feeling that. I mean, when I'm listening to Dreamcatcher, like when I close my eyes and listen to the album, it's like I get these visuals in my head, be it lights or like ideas that could be going for the live setting. So I'm just like imagining that going into the live setting and, being able to build upon that in the live setting, especially with this amazing US tour that's going to be coming up there. I mean, it's just like there's so many great ideas that can really experience the music, and I'm glad that you guys are thinking of that ahead of time.
Yeah, totally.
So, with that in mind, going back into the album, I mean, obviously there is a bit of change, I mean, in so many different levels between both albums, but when did you start to feel that it was going, like, in the right direction musically for the new album?
Okay, sorry, my phone had a notification, so it beeped. I just realized that. Can you repeat that for me one second?
Oh, sure thing. Just obviously with both albums, like a bit of a drastic change that was going on there, but in a great way, like being able to expand upon the sound so much more with Dreamcatcher. I mean, when you were getting these ideas out for the album, when did it start to feel creatively right to go in this direction?
I guess it wasn't really even about what was right and wrong. It was more of, can we do justice to these stories that we're taking influence from? The idea behind Dreamcatcher was to retell these horror stories musically, and when it called for us to take this band in a new direction, we just did it. We felt that it offered more and it opened up our audience, the amount of people who could appreciate it. I feel like it opened it up to more people, and so I guess it kind of felt right away. It's definitely a gamble, because we experimented in a lot of more progressive elements, like slower, more laid-back sections, little jazzy feels, even some singing parts. It's still probably I'd say 85-90% screams, but Sean and I sing on some of the tracks now too, and which is something we didn't do at all in Transcend Reality. But I think it felt natural to us because it's what the stories needed, to portray the true emotion behind those stories and those parts of the stories. That's where we had to take it. So.
And I really love that, again, from the fan aspect. I mean, obviously, musically, I mean, there's so much to be able to talk about, like all the soundscapes and the atmosphere and the different styles that are going on with the album, but lyrically and thematically, I mean, I really appreciate that you are taking on these different horror stories. I mean, be it novelizations or the movies or whatever the case is, and, just being able to flesh them out in this kind of musical sense, and the music really adds up to it, and it's so cool to see that.
Thank you. Yeah, and one thing we also wanted to do was, speaking of lyrically, was because we're putting it out there that these are based on the horror novels, Shining, the Hannibal series, It, Dead Zone, and Dreamcatcher. We're mentioning it, but also for the people who might not know what the stories are about, we wanted to make it to where you could still dive into these lyrics and relate to them on a personal level too. So, because that's part of what is scary with horror novels or stories, is being able to relate to them. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was difficult, but it was fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and a great example of that, at least for me, is like a Caretaker. I mean, being able to relate to that on a personal level, but also knowing what that's about as well. I mean, being able to see it from both sides. I mean, that's such a cool take on it. Yeah,
Caretaker's a fun one. That one we really did try and make it obvious, that this was about The Shining and the perspective of the dad. So, yeah, it was cool.
Oh, definitely. So, with that in mind, obviously, with a few years off in between albums, really working on the band, making sure that you're getting the right sound, getting everything right for the album. How hard of a decision was it to decide what was going to be the first single to show off where you guys are at now?
It wasn't too difficult to pick out before the eons. We chose that song when the album was done, and we chose it because it kind of, besides singing, it didn't feature singing, But besides that, it really featured elements from the rest of the album. Some really awesome riffs, some great solo sections, really heavy breakdowns, and also really laid back, jazzy parts, and so that's kind of why we chose Before the Eons as well. We really wanted the song that just kicked off. For our first single, we wanted it to hit hard, and that song right away, it's also the first track on the album, it's just in your face, just right off the bat. No long intro like we did starting Transcend Reality. We just wanted it to hit, and that song did it. So
yeah, and it was definitely a great choice with that as well. I mean, I love the visual representation of it as well. I mean, with the video, but like from album wise, I mean, just the way that it kicks off, and yeah, everything like you were talking about. I mean, be it more the jazzy instrumental moments that are going on there, or just the brutality that's showing off on there. I mean, it really shows off both sides of where the band's at right now.
Yeah, it does. And I think that was probably the biggest reason why we decided to go with that track.
So also with that in mind, I mean, obviously, again, like I'm really loving everything that's going on here with Dreamcatcher, and of course, noticing your moments on the album, be it for the first time being able to show off the vocals in the recording sense with this band, or just like really hearing the tones that are coming off of what you're playing, which is just so great to hear with the production. But in between both albums, how do you feel that you personally progressed as a musician?
Well, Transcend Reality was a big learning experience for me. Transcend Reality was written on Guitar Pro mainly. And so one thing that's great about writing on Guitar Pro is that, Guitar Pro is a tablature program that you can just tab out stuff and it plays it back to you. What's great about writing on that is that it's limitless. But what that means for a musician who's going to perform it in a live aspect is, yeah, I wrote this and it was limitless writing it. Now I got to learn how to play it, which made it super challenging. But it forced me to grow as a musician, like learning new bass techniques to be able to properly play these parts live, because what I wrote was super hard, and I think as difficult as it was, if I could do it again, I would do it the same way, because I grew so much as a bassist from Transcend Reality, and I brought that into Dreamcatcher in a whole new level. Like, there's parts, we're going to be, some news we haven't really announced yet, but we're releasing our second single in 2 weeks. On Friday, January 4th, we're releasing our track, The Dark Triad, which has this bass tapping parts that if you would have showed this to me 4 years ago, I would have just set my bass down and been like, nope, but because of the approach we took with the writing, it forced me to become a player who could do these things, and now I'm doing them, and I think that's really awesome. And as well, like we feature singing. Sean and I do all the singing parts on Dreamcatcher, and I've sung since I was really little, but never have I, besides doing like some cover videos online, I've never put it on a album before. And I'm really excited to finally show off this side of me that pretty much my close friends knew about, that I was a singer at heart. And yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to hear what people think about it.
Oh, definitely. And I was actually going to bring up that as well. I mean, both for vocally and specifically those bass taps that are going on there. I mean, to me, it's one of the most standout tracks on the album, and I'm glad to see that it is getting released as a single.
Yeah. I agree. The Dark Triad is just an amazing album. It was actually an amazing song. Jordan was the main writer in that, and the intro to the song was actually where he came up with the idea of making our album more cinematic and thematic sounding by incorporating synths. and virtual instruments. He wrote it, and he's like, wow, this track sounds like a movie. Like, we need to pay more homage to all the movies, that these stories, were made into. And so he went back and added synth tracks and virtual instruments for every song, and it just made them huge. And it was like the icing on the cake for these songs. And and also what's really cool about the Dark Triad is that it features Brian, who was one of the main writers on Transcend Reality. We just wanted to bring him back for a track because we loved what he brought to for Transcend Reality, and our fans loved it. And so we wanted Transcend to be a part of Dreamcatcher, essentially. And so we thought, let's bring Brian back for a song. And the work he did on the Dark Triad is just awesome. His solo was just out of this world amazing. So I'm really excited for everyone to hear that.
And again, that just makes me so happy to hear, still being able to pay homage to the first album, because it happens in so many bands where bands kind of start to forget or even despise their early material because they're so focused on the new material and wanting to change directions. But I'm glad to see that you're still keeping the first album alive, even by bringing something back into Dreamcatcher just like that, being able to show off an incredible solo like that, and just like still knowing that era is still there and you're still going to be representing that.
Yeah, well, and I think a big reason that felt so natural for us is the newest members, Cody, Alex, and Jordan. Before they were in the band, they were fans of the band. So, they loved what Brian brought into Aenimus. And so it was just really easy, to be like, yeah, of course, let's bring him back. He's amazing, and he's our great friend still. And so I think that had to do with it too. And we didn't initially, Sean and I went in when we first wanted to start writing, and we're like, how do we do Transcend Part 2? And then, when we got these new guys, we're like, no, let's not do Transcend Part 2. Let's do something new, but let's have elements of it. Let's not forget who we are, because Transcend Reality was a great album. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on, because, it's just like, I think that's a great way to be able to describe the album, because you are forging a new path with what's going on in the band, but you're still paying homage to what was done in the past, but, just still wanting to represent who you are in 2018, and when this is released 2 months from tomorrow in 2019. And it was amazing to be able to talk to you about everything that's going on in the world of Aenimus right now, the upcoming tour with Hypocrisy and Fleshgod Apocalypse, just like seeing where you are right now, discovering even more about the album than just my initial listen to the album, and it was just amazing to be able to talk about all that with you.
Well, yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed talking about it and sharing it with you, and I'm really excited for all the fans to be able to hear it. And it's gonna be sooner than we realize it. It'll be out there.
Oh, absolutely. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all. I just hope to see everyone at these coming shows. We have 3 in January, playing some of our favorite areas: Santa Rosa, Grants Pass, and Portland, Oregon. We're going to be doing, they're not announced yet, but we're going to be doing about 10 days around the album release as well. And we just confirmed the band that we're going to be going out with, which will hopefully be announced really soon. I'm super excited about it, because speaking of just paying homage to the pasts, it'll really make sense with who we're going to be doing our release tour with. And and then also Hypocrisy and Fleshgod. I'm really excited to see all the new fans and friends we can make from that tour. It'd be awesome.